welcome to Week 13. That means Thanksgiving week for the NFL. I'm Dominic Chu here for the CNBC.com Fantasy Football Weekly. Joining us, as always, are John and Pete Najarian, the co-founders of OptionMonster.com. And we've got a lot of games on the slate, 3 of them on Thursday and a whole bunch for this weekend. So let's start with you, John. Who are you starting this time around?
All right, guys, my starter this week is going to be Andrew Luck because he's A, putting up a lot of points, B, playing at home in Lucas Oil Stadium, and C, he's playing the Redskins, and I don't think they can stop him and his weapons, so I like him to score a lot.
All right, I can see that pick here. How about you, Pete? Who's starting for you?
My starter for this week is Odell Beckham from the New York Giants. He had the catch last week. Yes, the catch. Most amazing catch anybody's ever seen. I think he can repeat that this week against the Jacksonville defense that has been struggling against the pass. They've been struggling everywhere, but when you look at what they did, T.Y. Hilton had a monster game. And then you look at the week before that, Dez Bryant, another monster game. Now they've got to go against Odell Beckham, and I think the New York Giants, not only will they get a win, I think Odell Beckham and Eli Manning will have a monster day.
All right, that takes care of our starters. Let's talk about our sitters now. John, back over to you. Who do you have riding the pine this week?
Sitter this week, Pierre Garçon. Why is that? That's because I don't think the Redskins quarterback, which is not going to be RG3 and it's not going to be Cousins, it's going to be Colt McCoy. Love the kid, but I don't think he's going to be able to get Pierre the ball, and they're playing in Lucas Oil Stadium. Very tough on opposing quarterbacks, so I would sit Pierre Garçon.
All right, Pete, who's on your bench this time around?
My sitter for this week is Phillip Rivers. I love Phillip Rivers. He had a monster game last week, 29 of 35, 300 yards, all of that, everything a quarterback would want against the St. Louis Rams. But this week, they've got to travel all the way across the coast, East Coast, go to Baltimore. I think that's going to be very difficult. You've got Suggs, you've got Doomerville. They're going to be coming off the corners. I think it's going to be a real struggle this week. I think you need to sit them this week.
All right, your sitters, starters taken care of here. Let's talk about the sleeper picks. John, back over to you. Who's flying under the radar in Week 13?
My sleeper this week is Zach Mettenberger. And if you don't know this guy, he played football at LSU, and he's playing the Texans this weekend. That's the Titans playing the Texans. I like him to do very well because the Texans just lost Ryan Mallett, their quarterback, which means that their defense is going to be on the field a lot. And that's good for Mettenberger, so he's my sleeper.
All right, keep an eye on him. How about Week 13 sleeper for you, Pete Najarian?
My sleeper for this week, Lamar Miller. I love this kid, 5 yards a carry, but he's struggled the last couple of weeks. I think on Monday Night Football, he goes to New York and he lights up the Jets. The Jets defense, they've stood up strong all year long. The team, unfortunately, not enough wins. They're going to be struggling. Are they going to be able to continue to stop people? I think Lamar Miller has a big day. I think that's your real sleeper for this week.
All right, that takes care of our sitters, our starters, and our sleepers. Let's get to our big number here. It's 0.96. Why are we being so precise? Because that's the number of points that Tony Romo got per drop back for his fantasy owners last week. That made him the most efficient quarterback in fantasy football. And it also means it may have solidified his role as a starting quarterback for all fantasy owners for the rest of the season. And after a performance with 275 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and no picks, he could be a nice way to go this Thanksgiving week. That wraps it up for us here. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll see you next time on the CNBC.com Fantasy Football Weekly.